Hello everyone, I'm Andrew Camp from TubeBuddy, joined with...
I'm Erika Vieria from the YouTube Power Hour podcast.
And in this video, we're going to teach you why understanding your purpose for content creation is important and how you can use TubeBuddy to amplify your searchability to get more people watching your content. Erika, I have to say it is a pleasure to have you on today. We have worked with you extensively with your boot camps. I know you have a podcast. What would you say your podcast and boot camp are all about?
Well, thank you for having me. I would say with the podcast, I've had the opportunity to interview over 150 successful YouTube creators. And I learned a lot about what it takes to really achieve success on YouTube, especially today. You know, the landscape has changed over the years dramatically. And I'd say one of the things that I really focus on in working with YouTube creators and in my boot camp is building the YouTube channel from the inside out. What I find is that a lot of people go straight to things like technology. You know, they say, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. What camera do I get? You know, and then they jump into SEO. You know, I want to learn SEO, or let me work on TubeBuddy. So people jump right into that, and it's fun. It's kind of like when you want to start a workout routine and you go to Lululemon and buy clothes, right? People want to get the technology and they go into that, but they forget the most fundamental steps, which is understanding your niche. Your niche is so important, and I know you've talked about that, and a lot of people talk about that, and also your why, your purpose for doing YouTube. And most people forget this really important step, and your purpose and your niche is something we really dive into in my bootcamp. Yes, we go over SEO. That's where you come in and TubeBuddy comes in, and we go over thumbnails and all that stuff, but that happens later. That happens in the second half of the bootcamp. The first half is all about building your YouTube channel from the inside out.
That's awesome. And you mentioned a lot about your why, and I definitely agree. I think so many creators, they're so focused on, I got all this tech and I got all this investment, but I'm not seeing that return. And I definitely agree. Your why is important. If you don't know your why, you can burn out. And a lot of creators talk about burnout. So how do you find your why, and how has TubeBuddy helped your creators in your bootcamp and just in what you do in amplifying their why?
So I want to go back a little bit and talk about, really why the why is so important. You mentioned it a little bit too, is that with YouTube, it's a grind. It's a lot of work. I mean, it's a marathon, right? And people that you see having success, a lot of times they've worked at it for a while. I mean, they have to be consistent. And the thing is, though, I mean, you watching this, you know this. You're here on the YouTube, you're on the TubeBuddy channel. You've probably studied other channels. You're in that. You understand that it takes time, and you need to use TubeBuddy and do SEO and all that stuff. But a lot of people are seemingly doing the right things, right? So they're like, I'm consistent. I'm uploading twice a week or 3 times a week, and I'm looking at SEO, and I'm using TubeBuddy, and they're not seeing the results. And they're kind of in what I like to call this YouTube purgatory, right? They're doing the work, they're putting in the hours, but they're not getting anywhere. They're not building that audience. They're not having that influence that they want. And a lot of it goes back to your niche. What's your niche? Niching down. And then also your why. Why is your why so important that we're talking about? And one is that it helps alleviate burnout, but also in the sense that when you're doing a YouTube channel, it's a very vulnerable platform. It's like all you, right? You're the tech, you're the camera person, you're coming up with the content, you're the producer, you're the director, it's all you. So it's easy to take things personally, like when you get the haters, or you get negative comments, or even not even negative comments, but just like crickets, right? You work on this video and you're checking the 3 or 4 hours later, and you're like, oh my God, I have one comment, and it's like a sub for sub comment. You're like, nobody's watching this. And it could get so discouraging. It could get oh my God, or like a hater comment. And what happens is it becomes like a feedback loop, so that the next time you film, you have that in your head. You're like, oh, I really hope this resonates, or oh, that hater comment, I don't want to offend anyone, or I don't want to say anything wrong, or I don't want to get somebody to say something mean, or what do I look like? So you get that in your head, and then that's reflected when you're in front of the camera. You might be talking about whatever. You might be talking about makeup, or a certain food or diet that you're doing, whatever it is. But in your head, you're thinking about all these things, and that translates on camera. People sense insecurity in a second. They tell right away. And whether they're conscious about it or not, people will just click out. They won't be interested. And what people love are people that are just so confident in what they're talking about. They're so passionate about what they're talking about. And it's a magnetism on screen. And with your why is that when you're connected to why you're doing it, where you're deeply rooted, connected to that, it translates into charisma on screen. It translates into a confidence on screen that it's almost like no matter what you're talking about, people are going to grab onto that because you're so confident in it. And that is what makes people want to watch you for this video and the next video, and that increases your watch time and all that. And so, your why, though, when you say, how do you find your why? Your why isn't, I want to drive traffic to this, this product I'm selling, or I want to drive traffic to my business.
That's kind of an end goal.
Yeah, it's an end goal, exactly. And your why isn't like, I really love makeup, or I really love fashion, or I love DIY. That's not a why. And so people will come to me like, well, that's my why. Help me find my why. I love makeup. It's like, well, if you really love makeup, just go to the store and, buy some makeup and play with it. I mean, doing a YouTube channel, we're spending hours and hours and hours. I mean, you guys know this, hours of your life doing content, and it's got to be something deeper than what I just mentioned. And if you love something, then go get a part-time job as a makeup artist, or go get a job at a store and help somebody in that industry. Why do a YouTube channel? And what it usually comes down to is having an impact on people, having a point of view that you want to share with the world, and that you want to make that connection, and you want to help people. So really, when we in the bootcamp, we spent a lot of time on this, and we drill down. And I have a whole why formula and a whole process. But it's got to be deeper than this is going to be a fun hobby, or I'm interested in this topic, because when it's that deep, then there's a really true connection to that. And then what happens is then your why becomes bigger than you. It becomes bigger than your fears and your insecurities. So that if somebody is hating on you, or there's a comment or whatever, or you get burnt out, if you're deeply connected, the creators that are deeply connected to why they're doing it, that doesn't matter. A hater, it's like, whatever. And a lot of times when you get haters, it's like you're taking a stand on something. You have an opinion on something. So it's kind of bring it on, right? That that you have something that's really valuable to give, and you want to make an impact to people. And that impact is really what fuels you and drives you.
And especially when you talk about making an impact, a lot of times when you really do, like you say, find your why, and you do become larger than yourself, then you know how to target a YouTube audience. You know more specifically how you can make that content searchable. A lot of times people want to make content, and there's three kinds of content. There's hero, there's help, and there's hub content. So hero content is content that it goes larger than your channel, and it expands and it grows what your why really is. The help content is initially how people find you. And then the hub content is just for your current subscribers. It's pieces of content that nurtures them, as you mentioned a little bit off air. Yeah. And I think a lot of times when people find their why, the first thing they do is they make the hub kind of content instead of making that big searchable pieces of content, which comes into how the TubeBuddy tools can help. We can make hub content findable, and we can give you best practices, but helpful content such as how-tos and things, I feel that's kind of where growth happens. Yes. So what have you found in your bootcamp? Do you kind of agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
No, I 100% agree. Why I love YouTube so much, and the beauty of YouTube, is that it is a search engine. I mean, it is. It's a search engine, the second largest search engine on the web. It's owned by Google. So there's a discoverability to YouTube. I love it. I love YouTube, more than Instagram. I'm going to put it out there because Instagram doesn't have that same level of discoverability. And the way I look at YouTube and the way I approach it in my bootcamp is two distinct parts. And the first part is what I talked about, is the why, and finding. I actually have I call it the audience attraction system, right? It's the why, your niche, and you talked about it too. Who's that ideal audience? Having a channel purpose, a channel mission. That's all the pre-work, and that's so important. Like I mentioned earlier, you can't skip that. That's so important. But part two is getting into SEO, search engine, your titles, your tags, and utilizing a tool like TubeBuddy to really help you with that. And so you got to start with part one, but then you can't just end there. You can't be like, okay, I know my niche, I know my audience, like I'm super passionate about this, I want to help people, and now I'm gonna put up content for that. And then they forget about like the SEO and, like you said, that help content, that very valuable, that content that's gonna bring value to your audience. And that's why, to me, it's like when I did the bootcamp, it was a no-brainer to bring in TubeBuddy and Andrew, because I mean, if you're not using a tool like TubeBuddy, you're leaving money on the table. Like, it's there. I mean, you've got paid versions, but you also have free version. And it's a no-brainer. And it's like, I pretty much require everybody in the bootcamp, like, you've got to download TubeBuddy. Download the free version if you have to. I mean, the paid one is great. It's got great tools, but at a minimum, because TubeBuddy helps you with that discoverability component. It helps you to not only just create the content that you think your audience is going to like, but what are people searching for? Like, what is that person putting in that search bar? Like, your ideal viewer, right? You come up with your why. You're super deeply passionate about it. You're super deeply connected to helping people, to showing them something, to giving them a perspective, right? So now you figure out, okay, who's that person? Who is that person that's really going to connect with me? That's really going to want to tune in video after video after video, right? So, okay, now, what is that person searching in the search bar? And that's where TubeBuddy comes in. That's where SEO comes in. And now you do your research. This is your research part of your channel, is bringing in TubeBuddy and thinking about, what are people searching for? And then you guys have amazing tools that make it a lot easier. Like, you're not spending hours and hours. If you like before TubeBuddy, it's like, I don't know. I think it's a lot harder. But you guys have a lot of really cool tools in place that give people like a snapshot of like, okay, the search volume is high, but the competition is low. Like, that's what I want to do. And, in a quick snapshot. So it's great. So.
And I do think that's important. I mean, we talked about finding your why, and I think we've definitely covered, how you can find your why, and your bootcamp is great for that.
Thank you.
But do you have some examples of people who have successfully found their why and how they've used things like TubeBuddy to hone in on that success?
Yeah. Emma Mzotic, she's one of those testimonials for me that I love to show off, because it's just like a life-changing success story, and working with her when she really understood like her connection. So she's an animal YouTube creator, but when we started working together and she first joined the bootcamp, she was doing a completely different niche. And when she drilled down and really figured out her why, she realized, what, this is the impact that I want to make. This is what I want to do. And once she figured that out, then she created some videos and then did well. And then from there, she uses TubeBuddy and takes advantage of that to now continue to create content that her viewers want to see and that people are searching for, and that gets you beyond, say, your core audience, say that nurture group of people, that gets you into a whole new realm of people. Another person that came to work with me, her name is Sindhu, and her channel is called With Love Sindhu. And when she started bootcamp, I think she was at roughly 200 subscribers, and now I think 6-7 months later, she's ballooned to almost 60,000 subscribers. And for her, it was really honing in on her niche, which is, that first part that you need to do, the pre-work, honing in on her niche and really connecting with her why, and then creating content that, yes, she had a video that went viral. I think during the bootcamp, she changed her niche. She did a bunch of changes, went through the workbooks and the lessons, changed her niche, and then uploaded, I think, like the first video after she changed her niche, it went viral.
Yeah, and I was there in the bootcamp for that very moment. And it was interesting to see, because before that, I always knew the importance of finding a why, but seeing it in action, seeing growth, seeing how she not only did that, but one thing I noticed is that your bootcamp helped not only help her have the viral hit, but have a sustainability of content, so having lots of videos. So once she had that viral hit, she could live off of the video content she already had, and then could make more content to help nurture that new audience. That's an example of that hero content, creating something searchable, creating something that can help not only her, but help foster an audience. All right, Erika, so you mentioned how people can prime themselves up for that success, but how can people not only find their why, prime themselves up, but connect with you? Because, we've been mentioning how important it is to know all this information, and you clearly seem to be the person with it. How can they connect to you?
So I have my free content, and that's the YouTube Power Hour podcast. I have interviewed over 150 YouTube creators, successful YouTube creators. So if you're brand new to it, you can go back and binge listen to the podcast. But I upload a new episode every Thursday morning, a brand new one. And you can also join the YouTube Power Hour Facebook group. There's lots of like collaboration and support going on in there. And you can also check out the bootcamp, the Zero to Influence YouTube bootcamp, which is enrolling soon.
And links to everything Erika mentioned will be in the description down below. I highly recommend you check it out. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Erika, thank you for being on.
Andrew, the pleasure is all mine. And what I want ultimately everyone to take away, so whether you work with me or not, even though I would love to have you in my boot camp and have you be a part of the community and be a boot camper, ultimately what I really want you to take away from this is understand why you're doing this. Get deep, sit in your purpose. Like sit in it, spend some time hanging out in it, journal, write it down, really dive deep in that. And niche down, and then of course, TubeBuddy, which is why we're here. So
Absolutely. Understand your why so you can amplify and become discoverable with not only great practices helped by this bootcamp, by this podcast, but by using tools such as TubeBuddy. Erika, once again, thank you so much.
thank you, Andrew. This has been great.
Same.